Hey, what's up guys, it is I, Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. So what I'm bringing for you today is a little bit of a conversation piece, or a conversation starter I should say. These are things that as a Soul Calibur fighting game YouTuber that I have noticed over the years about Soul Calibur in particular. A lot of the same reoccurring themes and thoughts that people have and fans of the series have that are not going to come to fruition. So this is probably going to be a highly contested video. This is my opinion, but this is what I believe can be proven through like what they've done in the past, what their goals are for the future, and henceforth anything else beyond that. So we're gonna get started with number 3 on the list. This is one of the most common misconceptions or desires that I see from fans. And I've noticed it may not be people that like watch my channel regularly or like super in-depth Soul Calibur fans. They might actually be like fans of a certain version of Soul Calibur. Like I see a lot of questions about Soul Calibur 2 pop up. So the first one that I want to get rid of out of the bat, the first misconception, the first misnomer that a lot of people bring up and desire is a Soul Calibur 2 HD Remake 2 that includes Link from the GameCube version. So this actually ties into a couple other non-desirable things that people have asked for in the past. Like a lot of people want like there to be like a Soul Calibur tag type game, which is possible, but not with all of the characters, like the guest characters and stuff like that. This also ties into another one that I get a lot that I'm not going to name in this video because it's like less, like remastering Soul Calibur 4. Yeah, it's not possible, but let me explain that to you in the next point. But in this point, a Soul Calibur 2 HD Remake 2, or like an update for modern consoles with Link. Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is everyone's most hated topic, is licensing. So licensing is very productive and lucrative for both companies who are trying to cross-promote their products at a similar rate with cross-promotion. Therefore, one company will pay for the license rights to distribute that character within a certain limited license space, which is why characters are often seen taking off of online stores as soon as that license expires. It may be a license for 2 years, maybe a license for 5 years. But wherever the case is, that license is indicative of what characters show up in those games. Now, typically, we see that like Soul Calibur tries to go above and beyond when it comes to guests because they need that extra pull to get people into their franchise, because it's a series that has a lower budget and it's not as prioritized by Bandai Namco as some other games like Tekken, for example. It's a little bit harder to pull new people in because like the core Soul Calibur fan base is always going to be there, right? But we're trying to get new people in. So the best way to do that is to cross promote. So I understand why a lot of Nintendo console users, I have a Switch myself, will link back, or to have a Soul Calibur 2 updated version that's going to be playable on this generation of consoles without modding or without any kind of like PC rig. But this is the thing that they said, and this is what I always reiterate when talking about this topic that I just want you to focus on. Project Soul said that Soul Calibur 2, though it was their best-selling game overall, actually hurt them in the long run because of the licenses that they actually acquired for different console variations, which is why you've heard me say and other people say that Project Soul literally came out in the past after Soul Calibur 2 and said that like they're no longer moving forward going to be using console exclusive guest characters. It's because of Nintendo. So when a lot of people saw that Link was going to be in the GameCube version, the GameCube sales actually shot up for a bit, but then in the long run it lagged well behind the Xbox and PlayStation 2 versions. Let's be honest, not many people cared about Heihachi Mishima being a guest character because it was supposed to be Cloud Strife, but not many people cared about Heihachi Mishima being the guest character. It's the fact that it was on PS2, which is like one of the best-selling consoles of all time. So at that time, a lot of people had PS2s. So if they're going to go get the game, they're not going to go get a whole system or a GameCube just to play as Link, or an Xbox to play as Spawn. They're going to get the game for the system they already currently own, right? So that's why the PS2 version was the highest selling. I had all 3 versions, but I can see where they're coming from because like you're not getting a complete version of the game. Right? So like not one of those consoles had a complete version of the game, and even the HD version is not complete. So when people wanted to be able to play as Link or be able to play as like Spawn. Like in this generation day and age, it would have been a lot easier with like a lot of the cross promotion that they have going on with cross gameplay and stuff like that, where like you can actually play with other consoles in certain games. So I can see the desire to want Link or Zelda or Nintendo characters back, especially like characters like Fire Emblem or something like that. Nintendo licensed characters would be perfect for a Soul Calibur game, but it's just simply not going to happen. And we actually haven't had a mainline Soul Calibur game on a Nintendo console since 2. Like we had Soul Calibur Legends spin-off on the Wii, and that's the last we heard of it for anything from Nintendo. There's not correlated like straight up numbers for this, but I heard it's because Nintendo of America wasn't happy with the sales of the GameCube console version. Like they're very picky and choosy when it comes to who gets to use their characters and whatnot, and the fact that it looked bad for Nintendo that the GameCube version was sitting behind the Xbox, which was a new console at the time, and the PlayStation 2 version in sales, really kind of not hurt their bottom line, but it kind of hurt their fifis, I guess you want to say. Like Nintendo wants to be on top when it comes to numbers and stuff all the time. It's one of the reasons why they went family focused and child friendly and moved away from the other two consoles, because they don't want to be in competition with them, because they care about the aesthetics of how it looks. They care about how it's like how many people are playing the game on this console versus that console, to show that like they have the better experience, because they go for experience, right? Not for for power or anything. They've never been that way. But we're talking about a company that has been the big dog in the gaming scene since like the 80s, right? They had the Nintendo, the Super Nintendo, the N64, and then when the GameCube came out, it was kind of pummeled by the PS2. And then there was a lot of new interest in the Xbox, seeing that like Microsoft was already fairly popular, especially in the West, and then like they're coming out with a console. That'd be like me today seeing that Samsung is coming out with a console. If Samsung is coming out with a console, I'm buying it. Like I want to see what it is and how it works and stuff like that. So this is a really long, dragged out point, but there's a lot of context that goes into this. So the reason that we're not going to see an HD remake or an HD 2 is for Soul Calibur 2 is just because of the fact that Nintendo is not going to license out their character again. So the best that we have is probably going to be the PlayStation 3 version, especially when Nintendo looks at the current console sales for Soul Calibur, and they see that like they've steadily decreased since like Soul Calibur 2 anyway. Like Soul Calibur 3's numbers weren't recorded because it was published and produced by Sony, so like they are the ones that control all of that, so there's no numbers for that. But there have been numbers for Soul Calibur 4, Soul Calibur 5, which sold like way less, and then Soul Calibur 6, just sitting at a pretty like 2 million, which I think is like still more than Soul Calibur 5, but it's not enough to jump the shark, right? It's not enough to give them like pause to want to put their characters back in the game, because according to them, they're just like, oh, 2 million eyes saw this game, we already have like a bajillion people that are like on our eyes already for Smash and other games like that. So that's just how that comes. So let's get out away from point one, because I could talk about it literally forever. Maybe this would be another good topic for a live stream. Let me know in the comment section down below. Now for point number two, or number two, I guess in order, it is that Soul Calibur all-encompassing tag kind of game, which I 100% think is possible. There could be a tag game, but not in the aspect of like Mortal Kombat Armageddon or like Tekken Tag, right? Or Tekken Tag 2. Like the everything but the catch and sink mentality, I don't think is possible, just because, again, of licensing. There's a lot of characters in the Soul Calibur games that have appeared that aren't owned by Bandai Namco, and that's including fan favorite Soul Calibur characters, like the bonus characters from Soul Calibur 4. Shura being my favorite, but there's like Ocelot, there's like Kamakiri Musi, like all of those like bonus characters that were created in conjunction with like famous mangaka in Japan for a contest. Those characters won't come back. Also, there's also the fact of Necrid, which is literally owned by Tom McFarlane, and I have seen people saying that like, oh well, even if we don't get Necrid back, we can get his style back. And yeah, you can't really like untie the two, because like Necrid's powers were based around his style. So even if like you get a character that's similar, it can actually work out better. Like I think like Aswell like works out a lot better, a lot more similar to somebody like Necrid did. So I don't think we're getting him back either, especially with how Tom McFarlane is focused on Spawn. Getting ahead of the curve to promote the new movie. So like that's why Spawn was in like Mortal Kombat 11, for example. Mortal Kombat 11 sells leaps and bounds above Soul Calibur. So Soul Calibur 2, like I said, was coming off the hype of like Soul Calibur, which was like a top seller on like PlayStation and even Dreamcast, I believe. So going into the PlayStation 2, it had a lot more momentum going for it than it does now, for sure. Because we've just seen years of, like, in critics' eyes, disappointing titles, even though they're dear to our hearts, right? So I don't think we're going to get a all-encompassing tag version. I do think we could get a tag that has, like, a lot of the current characters and new characters and stuff like that. But just, like, all of those, like, licensed characters, it's not, I don't think it's going to happen. And finally, the number one, the top numero uno big dog misconception or misdesire, I guess you want to say, of people that want this, that unfortunately are probably never, ever, 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 ever going to get this. And listen carefully. Soul Calibur is never, ever, 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 ever going to get rid of create a character. I've seen so many people, like, listen, the create a character community is so huge with Soul Calibur that it's, like, literally part and parcel to its existence. Like, yes, balancing is important. Yes, like, online netcode is important. Yes, fighting mechanics are important. Characters are important. But create a character is literally such a big community in of itself in Soul Calibur that you have people that, like, literally, like, just play the game to create characters and don't even touch the story unless it's to unlock certain things that they need or want. That's just, like, is what it is. The community has always been, like, split 50-50 ever since, like, Soul Calibur 3 came out. There's people that want the battle mechanics and a return to form, as they say, or people that want, like, the creative and single-player aspects of the game, like Chronicles of the Sword, Libra of the Souls, any of these type of situations or scenarios. Like, the best we can hope is that, like, they're going to balance both, but, like, it's always going to be there that create a character is going to be a thing, and like you want it to be a thing because the community is built around that. There's a lot of community that is built around that specifically. So like if they do take that out of the Soul Calibur game, what you're going to have happen is you're not going to have a large new number of fighting game community fanatics jumping on to a non-created character, less single player mode of Soul Calibur. What you're going to see is half of the community leaving, and then that would destroy and kill the franchise. Like we literally, what are we going to have, like 1 million sales for a game for Soul Calibur, and then like that's it? Listen, it is what it is. Like everyone plays games for different reasons, right? I understand that. I respect that. I'm one of those people. I like both sides of the coin. Like I do like playing online, but I also do love my creative characters. I do love jumping into Libra of Soul and creating a story for myself and a backstory for my character. It's just like an outlet for creativity, and it's what I like. And a lot of people will say like, oh well, they're just like discount bargain sale versions, like Walmart great value versions of the actual characters that people are trying to emulate. Notwithstanding that you're completely discounting OCs for that point, which is not a straw man because I've literally heard this comment being said. It's the fact that like we have the ability to outlet our creativity. Like my Captain America may be different from your Captain America versus Dark Nemesis 666's Captain America, who, let's be honest, is probably going to have the best version. These characters are like an indication of our creativity and like how we play the game, and I update characters over time, and it brings longevity to the game. Like if you're gonna go play Soul Calibur right now, you're not playing Soul Calibur because it's like the online's hopping, right? Because the netcode's bad, there's not that many concurrent players, most people are playing offline or in single player modes, and it's mainly just for creation purposes. Even personally myself, like I was playing Final Fantasy Crisis Core Reunion, and I was like, I want to make Zack, because I made Cloud, so let me make Zack Fair in Soul Calibur. And then I popped on, created Zack, played one match with him, bounced off, haven't touched the game since. So that's just like such a big aspect of like resurgence of this series that it's just not going to go away. Anyway, there's a ton of these like misconceptions and misnomers out there, guys. I just covered the top 3 that I see in my comment section on my community, and in places like Reddit, like r/SoulCalibur, and other places like around there, Discord conversations, stuff like that. But like any all thoughts in the comment section down below are always welcome. I want to hear what you guys think are the top misnomers or misconceptions that you see other fans like postulate that you think it's never going to happen and why, like that's really important. Or we can bring the conversation over to my Discord channel. There's a link for it in the description box down below. A lot of people always ask me like, oh, you have a Discord, when they finally find out. And it's like, oh, you're not watching to the end of the video, but it's cool, thanks for tuning in anyway. But yes, it is in there. You could just click it, and like we talk about a ton of other things. It's not just a Soul Calibur centric Discord. And there's also a lot of great ways, great people that you can like start matches with and all kinds of stuff. So please check that out. Leave a like on the video if you did like the video. I would greatly appreciate it. And like I always say, guys, until the next video, I love it. Thank you.
And thank you.